Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Bat Around. I'm your host, Paul Valley, and joining me, as always, every other Sunday, he is Zach Moore of PigTownSports. Zach, good morning, or good afternoon. How are you today?
God, who even knows how I'm doing right now after that kind of game?
Yeah, it was
Orioles go down to the Royals today, 4-1. We are going to get into all of that and more here in just a moment. Want to remind everybody that today's show is brought to you by the Classic 5 Golf Tournament. And honestly, I don't have a read. I know who it's by, but I did not receive the read. So I got today's show brought to you by helpmygamblingproblem.org. If you or a loved one has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit helpmygamblingproblem.org for free confidential services. That's 1-800-GAMBLER or visit helpmygamblingproblem.org for free confidential services. So, Zach, this game was doomed from the jump. Brandon Hyde was doomed from the jump because the Orioles faced a left-handed pitcher in Bubic today who has reverse splits. So you would think that you would take two of your hottest hitters, actually three of your hottest hitters, in Heston Kjerstad, who has a hit in each of his last 4 games, Cedric Mullins, who's been your most consistent hitter all season, and Jackson Holliday, who has a hit in every game but 2 this year, including 3 hits yesterday, and not to mention a big 2-run single in his final at-bat yesterday. You would think they would have been in the lineup. But all Brandon Hyde seems to know is matching up and lefty no-hit lefty. So he puts a bunch of right-handed hitters, including Jorge Mateo and Gary Sanchez and Ramon Laureano in the lineup today, and it went about as expected as the Orioles mustered just 5 hits, 1 run, which scored after a leadoff triple on a wild pitch. It wasn't a hit or a sac fly or a ground ball to the right side to score the run. It was a wild pitch because Laureano and Sanchez struck out back-to-back after the leadoff triple by Mountcastle there in the 7th inning. More confounding than anything is having multiple center fielders on your roster and yet starting Jorge Mateo in center field. And I understand, Zach, that that Colton Cowser got hurt, and that kind of threw a wrench in the Orioles' plans as who their backup center fielder is going to be when they're facing it. Basically, just what they're going to do in those situations. There is no excuse for Jorge Mateo to be playing center field in a big league game, especially when he missed almost all of spring training. And it's clear to me that he hasn't put in the practice time in the outfield during spring training, during his offseason preparations to prepare himself for the regular season. That fly ball in the 1st inning is a routine run-of-the-mill can of corn fly ball into right center field, and he just doesn't catch it. And it goes for a triple.
Yep.
This would have had a 1-2-3 first inning, and instead Cade Povich had to throw about 15 extra pitches, and he gives up 3 runs, and that was the difference in the ball game. They got lucky that when Salvador Perez hit that deep fly ball in the left center field, a ball that Cedric Mullins catches probably 99 times out of 100, Jorge Mateo, he gets to it, and it just goes right over his glove. And it's not that it was just – the ball was hit hard. We'll be honest about that. But it's not that the ball just went over his glove and it was a tough play. He just didn't have his glove in the right place. That ball was catchable.
Yeah, they both were. And they both were 99% catch probabilities, according to StatCast. And I listened to Brandon Hyde after the game, so I was a little late coming down here. So I was listening to what he had to say about it. And he said that Georgie has been, putting in the work in the outfield since Cowser went down. Cool. He's been putting in the work. He apparently looks really great when it comes to, in practice and stuff like that. Awesome. So we just decided, we haven't won a series yet. Let's just throw him out there in center field because he looks good in reps. Didn't play a single inning, a single out in spring training. You didn't want to send him to AAA to maybe work on some of the stuff. No, it was Colton Cowser went down. My backup plan is Jorge Mateo. No, Jorge Mateo is a backup player who should honestly never see the field for maybe 60 to 70 at-bats a year. He's not a good player. And I know some people like him and they like his speed and whatnot. His defense has been absolutely abysmal since 2021. It doesn't matter where you put him on the field. It's not good. You know, what was he, a -9 WAR at shortstop in 22? And then I think he was like a -8 or 10 or something like that at second base in 23. It's horrible to watch in the outfield. I would prefer to watch Ryan O'Hearn in the outfield over Jorge Mateo. I don't care how fast you are. He cannot read a ball off the bat. And I actually had to tweet. I'm glad you brought it up with Cade. I had to tweet MLB. By definition, an error is a ball that is not, it's a play that is not made that is expected to be made by the average player, right? A 99% catch shot probability should be made by the average player. Why is that not an error? Like,
did it touch his glove?
No, it doesn't matter if it touches it or not. It's should the play be made by an average player, whether it touches the glove or not, it should be considered officially an error. Major League Baseball wants averages to come up, so they're trying to give free hits away when they can. You're screwing up ERAs because you're doing that, right? That those 2 runs don't score. Hell, you're probably out of the inning, like you said. I'm sorry, I don't want to see my Jorge Mateo level is up here with Brian Baker. I understand Brian's doing really good right now, but we all know it's coming. And you get the same thing with Jorge Mateo. He'll look really good one day. He'll do something everybody praises him for, and then you just get that more times than not. Oh, God. You and I were texted beforehand about Brandon Hyde. I don't even... If this is a Brandon Hyde issue, I'm very upset. I don't 1,000% know if it really is. Like, could it be spreadsheets from SIG? You know, could it be a collective group of people that are trying to bang the computer together to figure out the best lineup? Because I'm going to tell you right now, it ain't effing working. Excuse my French. It ain't working. Whatever you're trying to do, they can't get a simple defensive lineman set up. These guys don't know who they're playing against, or playing with, I'm sorry. You don't know who you're playing with. You don't know if you're even going to play that day coming to the ballpark. As a young, and look, most of this team is young. As a young player, you go out and get 3 hits that day, and then you come in the next day and you're not even in the lineup. Like, what the hell does that do to your psyche? Like, you've made the big leagues. You're one of the most important players on the team, and you're not getting consistent at bats. How the hell do you get yourself prepared to play?
Well, and fans were super upset this week after they saw the Red Sox sign 2 of their youngest players to extensions. And we've seen tons of teams sign tons of young players to long-term extensions. Hell, we just saw prior to last season with Bobby Witt Jr. He got 11 years. What do you get? Like 11 years, $300 million, something along those lines. And the Orioles fans want to know why the Orioles can't sign their young players to extensions, or won't sign their young players to extensions.
Why should they?
How are you going to expect these young players to want to even sign extensions when you look at Gunnar Henderson in 2023, his first full season in the big leagues? He couldn't get a start against left-handed hitters until he absolutely gave them no choice but to start him. I think there was an injury to Mateo or something along those lines where he had to start playing every day. Colton Cowser last year could not.
I think it was Urias. Urias got hurt, and he got
Urias got
hurt at third.
Yep. And then last year, Colton Cowser, despite being one of the Orioles' best hitters against left-handed pitching in spring training, could not get a start against left-handed pitching last season until Austin Hayes got hurt and proved to be ineffective. And so then Colton Cowser had to start every day. Now, Jackson Holiday's been one of the Orioles' most consistent hitters this entire season. He's got 3 multi-hit games in his first 8 games. He's already sat twice this season. He's hitting .333, on base percentage .365. It's early, but he's putting the bat on the ball. He only has, I think, 1 strikeout this entire. I think he has 4 or 5 strikeouts, but it's still not a ton. And he can't get consistent at bats because anytime a lefty's on the mound, Brandon Hyde is going to sit him, despite the fact that he's been proving that he can hit just about anybody this season. So why in the world would any of these young players say, "Yeah, let me sign an extension to play for a team where I don't know who's going to be playing"? If I'm Gunnar Henderson, I have no idea who's going to be playing second base today or tomorrow
or third
or third. If I'm Jackson Holliday, I don't know if I'm playing second tomorrow, if I'm playing short tomorrow, if I'm on the bench tomorrow. And if I'm a starting pitcher, I don't know if Jorge freaking Mateo is playing center field for me tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or Ryan O'Hearn's playing right field And Brandon Hyde pinch hit Ryan Mountcastle for Heston Kjerstad earlier this week in a situation where Kjerstad had just smoked a double into the opposite field in his previous at-bat. O'Hearn's 0 for 2. Well, he pinch hits Mountcastle for Kjerstad in the 6th inning of a ball game that was, at that time, it was kind of within reach, I guess. Actually, no, it was within reach. I think it was a 5-3 ball game at that point. He pulls Kjerstad in favor of Mountcastle, and that means that Mountcastle then has to go play first base, and Ryan O'Hearn has to go out and play right field in a 2-run ball game where you still have an opportunity to win this ball game. The other night, the first game in Kansas City, now I get it. The rotation hasn't gone deep into games, and so therefore your bullpen is getting a little bit worn out, but it's still early in the season. It's a 1-run ball game in the 8th inning, and you leave CNL Perez out there in a 1-run ball game to throw 37 pitches and allow 5 runs to cross the plate. And instead of being in a situation where you're one swing of the bat away from tying this ball game, now the game's over. Yep. The game's over. You play to win the game. Play to win the game. Go out there. A loss in April matters just as much as a loss in September. We talk about it all the time. And you don't want to waste your bullpen for tomorrow. Tomorrow doesn't exist. Today exists. Go win that ball game. Go win that. And I've been screaming from a mountaintop my disdain for Brandon Hyde since 2022 when I watched him the last third of the season single-handedly keep the Baltimore Orioles out of the playoffs with his decisions, with his lineups. In 2023, nothing could go wrong for this team until they got to the playoffs. Then last year, I watched it happen all over again. And I told myself this past offseason, I want to lay off him. But the moves and the decisions are so egregious. You have an opportunity. It's a rubber game. Go win a series. You need to win a series. You need your team to feel right. And you put out this lineup that has no chance of succeeding today. And you're like, oh, we're just going to throw this against the wall and see if it happens. Cedric Mullins set a major league modern day record when he started yesterday in the Orioles' 9th game and was in his seventh different spot in the lineup. 7 different spots in the lineup in 9 games.
It's incredible, isn't it?
That's insane.
Right. How are you supposed to build a rapport about like the guy around you?
Yeah, you have no idea who's hitting in front of you, no idea who's hitting behind you, and you have no idea who's going to be your defensive partners around you on any given day. There's no consistency. There's no rhyme or reason for the lineups that he does. The only rhyme or reason is, oh, well, I got to get these guys playing time, and it's lefty versus righty. Or righty versus lefty, so I'm going to match up. That's
pretty much actually what he said after the game. He said, we spent a lot of money on these guys to hit left-handed pitching, so I was getting them in the lineup today. I think that response is fair. Not good, not bad. I'll say that. It's not good, it's not bad. You've got guys that are hot, and then you've got guys that are not. Right now, Gary Sanchez is not hot. He got one duck fart yesterday. He admitted himself he thinks the wind allowed that ball to die enough that the guy didn't even catch it. Mm-hmm. Ramon Laureano right now is not hot. Do I think he's eventually going to help this team against left-handed pitching? Yeah. Put Heston Kjerstad in there. He has done nothing but show you he can put the ball in play against left-handed pitching. Jackson Holliday is your goddamn future. Excuse my French. The guy who's supposed to play every single day because he's supposed to be as good as Gunnar Henderson. Why is he not playing every single day? Mm-hmm. Now, granted, don't get me wrong. This isn't a Ramon Urias bashing because Ramon Urias has been playing very well, and sometimes you do have to find a way to get him in the lineup. But do something else with Holliday. DH Ramon Urias so you can kind of keep your defense the same because from what we've been told is Westberg, Gunnar, and Holliday are your studs, right? They should be playing the same 3 positions every single damn day with maybe once in a while one of them getting a day off. Maybe. Mm-hmm. Didn't Adam Jones not long ago play 162 straight games?
Yeah. Manny Machado started every single day for like 5 years.
Right. Yes, a day off helps. They don't need it off on game 10. I'm just sorry. Mm-hmm. They're young kids. They want to play the game. They want to get in a groove in early April. Mm-hmm. Don't rip the damn carpet out from underneath them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You talk about Laureano, Sanchez, Mateo. Mateo's 0 for 11 with 4 strikeouts this season.
Is anybody shocked about that?
No, not at all. Laureano has 1 hit in what? 8 at bats this year now, or one for 9. Sanchez has 2 hits. So between those 3 guys, 10 games in the season, you have 3 hits, and they're all starting on the same day. I totally understand. Sometimes you got to play a backup. You want them to. You don't want them to
can't sit forever.
Up.
I get it.
You can't sit forever, but you. This is what he did. I remember there was a game in 2022, and it was that same game. It was game number 108 of the season. It marked the last third of the season starting point. They were playing the Pittsburgh Pirates. Brandon Hyde started. I talk about this all the time on this show. He started Rougned Odor at third base, despite Odor saying he was not comfortable playing third base. Robinson Chirinos started behind the plate, and not Brandon Phillips. What the hell's the guy's name? Phillips. He played for the Rays.
Oh, was Phillips. What the hell?
What was his first name? Because Brandon Phillips was a Cincinnati Reds second baseman.
I don't remember. Long flowy hair guy. Looked like Gunner.
yeah. In hair alone. Phillips. It was Phillips, Chirinos, and Odor starting that game. All 3 of them were hitting. No, I'm sorry. It was Phillips, Mateo, and Odor. All 3 of them were hitting 200 or worse. They were the only team the entire season
Brett
Phillips. They were the only team the entire season, because I looked this up back then. I wrote an article about it, to start 3 players that were they were the only team to start 3 players that were batting 200 or less, that had even 100 at bats each or more that entire season. Not just that, they were the only team that rostered 3 players with at least 100 at bats that were hitting 200 or worse. And they all started in game 3 of a series where you need to win that game to get a sweep. Meanwhile, the Blue Jays, who then you had to face over Labor Day, who took 3 or 4 from you, including a doubleheader on Labor Day, the Blue Jays, who you are battling it out with to make the postseason, they started all their regulars, all 3 games out in Oakland. They swept Oakland. The Orioles lost that game on a Sunday, 8-1 to the Pirates. And Tampa Bay, who was right in front of the Orioles, they went 4-12 in their final 16 games and only won 1 game during which the Orioles lost the entire way. And the Orioles, they opened the game, said the Orioles walk in. And Brandon Hyde made decisions like he did on that Sunday. And I watched him. I watched him from game 108 through the rest of the season. And he made decisions like that every single day.
Yeah.
There's no excuse just because it's Sunday and you want to get some of your backups playing time to bat all of your backups in the same game. You are asking for a loss, and you're showing your team and your fan base that you don't care if you win a series or not. The fact that he said, we pay these guys a lot of money to hit left-handed pitching, tells me that came from up top.
Yep.
That came from up top. And if everybody says Brandon Hyde doesn't make the lineups, it's a group effort. He has final say on the lineup. And if it is a group effort, he shouldn't be here anyway, because the guy has no damn backbone. Because if you truly don't believe that those guys should be playing and you want to tell your front office no, and you have final say on the lineup and you don't do it, then you have no backbone. You have no business being here anyway. I would never gripe over what Buck Showalter did in the game, because Buck Showalter was a hell of a manager. Brandon Hyde is for my money, and I've watched Sam Perlazzo and Lee Mazzilli and Dave Tremblay and Juan Samuel and Ray Miller manage his team. Brandon Hyde is the worst manager I've ever seen in Baltimore.
And he holds the most chips, which is the crazy part.
Yeah.
He's won the most games in the AL. So if he wanted to say no, you just say, hey, Mike, no. Like, what are you going to do? Fire me? You're not going to fire a guy who just won 192 games just because you said no. Like, you hold you write the damn lineup card that you turn in. They can send you all these little spreadsheets they want. This is what we think might really work out today against this guy. Our computer analytics are showing us. Look, I'm an analytical guy. I love that stuff. I follow my home run pick to click off that stuff. I use the same software. You
cheater.
I know. And I still don't win. That's the worst part. But I'm just like the damn Orioles. So you're the guy that writes it down, right? You can look at all the numbers you want. And I do the same thing. You can look at everything you want. You still get to pick the final 9 guys that you want to hit. And if you're just okay with that, that is a problem. And I like Ricky's comment here. Can you put that up?
Yeah.
I've been talking about this a lot. The offense is the problem, and it's because they have no consistency with each other. You don't know who's going to play. They're trying to play these matchups, whether you're in a groove or not. Look, if you're not in a groove, you're not in a groove. We're not just going to, you shouldn't just be thrown out there because a lefty's on the mound. A reverse lefty to boot. 300 guys were hitting 300 from the left side off of Bubonic today, or whatever the hell his name is.
Bubich.
The
bubonic plague.
Yeah. They were, now righties were still hitting 260. It's still a respectable average, but they got shoved. And by the 5th inning, you should have realized they're getting shoved. Ryan Mountcastle hit because he seems to just hit almost any lefty. That's completely fine. Him
3 of
being
their
the
5
lineup,
hits today.
right. No, I don't think anybody in this fan base would ever complain with Ryan Mountcastle staying in a lineup against a lefty. Never going to happen. You eventually got to look at it and say, Gary isn't working out. Just not working out. Ramon, nowhere near the ball. He can't pick up a slider to save his freaking life right now. You have superstars that you drafted number 1 and number 2 overall on the bench. Make a move, because you're very quick to pull them in the 5th and 6th inning any other time. Flip it and be very quick to put them in the game too.
Yep.
Because, like I said, they went number 1 and number 2. Obviously, you think highly enough of them. They're on your major league team. They should be starters every day. Let's figure something out here. You don't always have to go by the books. I'm a book guy too. I like numbers. I sit here and spit them all day on Twitter. Half the time they mean jack shit. The Orioles need to kind of treat it the same way. Numbers can only take you so far. And yes, the Orioles players need to own up to only averaging 1 run a game. I 1,000% agree to that. But there's also, and I don't know if you noticed it today, Paul, when Mateo missed that ball, Povich, he didn't look the same.
No.
Nope. Body language was done. He just started kind of floating the ball over the plate. He's pissed. He was pissed.
Yeah.
And it didn't look like O'Neill was really hustling to some of them balls that were going out in right field. I feel like the whole team was just like, okay, this might work. And then it's just the second it didn't, it was just like, we knew this was coming. And, you could see everybody's body language went down. And I don't want to say they gave up, because obviously they didn't give up, because that game could have got ugly and it didn't. But just the fire was gone, just like that. And we've seen it 6 times this year, where the fire, once it's gone, they have no fight in them whatsoever to try and take the lead back. What, did they have 1 comeback win this year?
And that's what they used to do.
Right, all the time. They were never out of it.
No, it was literally through the first half of last year. They could be trailing in any game, and it didn't. I mean, there was that game against the Astros. They were down 14-3 in the 8th inning. They lost 14-11, and they had the tying run in the on-deck circle. Yeah. This team used to never be out of a ball game. Now they go down. They go down 3-0 in the first inning.
It's over,
and you know that the game's over.
Yeah.
There's still. You're like, all right, it's only the first inning. They could still score some runs, but by the time you get to the 5th and it's 4-1, 4-0, you know they're not scoring.
Yeah.
You know it's not going to happen. And Ricky says these comments, they don't fill up the whole screen. The whole comment, when it's this long, doesn't fill up the whole screen. But the last sentence says they're missing an outspoken leader on this team, and I think that is absolutely correct.
Yeah,
I think they are 100. Adley can be that leader, but everybody calls him a golden retriever for a reason. He's like this happy-go-lucky guy, hell of a nice guy.
Same with Westberg.
More like a rah-rah guy. Jordan Westberg, he's quiet and he seems gritty, but just like Nick Markakis, they lead by example. They don't lead vocally.
They don't have an Adam Jones.
They don't have an Adam Jones. And Gunnar Henderson, he never just seems to me like, the guy that's building Legos and going fishing with his buddies, and when he's not playing in a game, that doesn't come across to me as that guy who just when he walks in a big situation, he gets pissed off, and when he plays with his hair on fire, that's great. Somebody has to be able to say, guys, we're better than this. Cut the crap and let's go play baseball.
Do you know who I think might be this guy?
I think I know who you're going to say.
Who?
Ryan O'Hearn?
Nope. No.
Okay.
He's not on the team yet. I think Bradfield might be this guy.
Okay.
Just by listening to some of his interviews and stuff like that, he's not cocky, but he has the utmost confidence in himself. And he's constantly talking about his teammates. And you watch him out in the field, he's always talking to the guys next to him. Let's go here. Hey, I'm moving. Move with me. Blah, blah. He's always talking. And it's the same thing Adam Jones used to do. I don't know if Bradfield will ever we all hope that he's going to be that kind of big league guy, like Jones. If he has half the career Adam Jones does offensively, I think we'll all be pretty happy with that. Defensively, I think he's probably going to be pretty better. But can you even rely on a guy next year to do it? Or at some point this year, maybe, like, because he's not going to come in here and do that as a rookie either. But long term, I could see him being that guy. When I look around the organization, I don't see another player like that either, though.
Yeah,
because Beavers is quiet. He's just like Westberg. He's just a good player. He just keeps his head down. Basayo, he just seems like a really outgoing guy, and I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to, kind of say, we're better than this. Like, get your shit together. But I don't see anyone else in the organization with that kind of fire in him but Bradfield, which is a good or a bad thing.
And you know what? And that leads to, I could not stand having a guy like Rougned Odor and Adam Frazier on the roster. But you look at the fire that those guys played with and their veteran leadership, and that mentality is what this team is missing. It feels like that mentality is what this team is missing. No, it doesn't mean it does not mean I want Rougned Odor or Adam Frazier back. I want guys who can actually play. I want a guy who has that mentality, but also can actually play consistent baseball. Somebody's got to step up. Yeah. Somebody's absolutely got to step up. And I just don't know who it's going to be. I would love for it to be Gunnar. I think it should be Gunnar. But I think that just means, like, you look at the Yankees back in 95, 96, 97, 98. That was a team filled with good young players, but also good veterans.
Yeah.
Who do you think was the fiery guy on that team? For me, Paul O'Neill.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Paul O'Neill. You need a guy like Paul O'Neill, who hits 300 with 20 homers, drives in close to 100 every year. And if you lose, he is the maddest person on the planet that you lost that ball game. You need somebody like that. I don't want to see take flight. Oh, you can't clip these wings. And, we have a chip on our shoulder after what happened last year. What happened the year before that? Where did that chip take you last year? And where to start this year, this team has yet to score more than 3 runs in a game in back-to-back games this year. Every time they score 8 or more runs, the next day they score 3 or less.
Yeah.
They have scored. They've played 10 games, 5 of them 3 runs or less. In one of the other games, 6. They have 4 runs.
I don't even count that one because that was literally a 2-out 9th inning sac fly.
Yeah.
Or 1-out 9th inning sac fly. I don't even count that. They didn't. Of course they manufactured it in the last inning. It meant nothing.
Yeah. The team doesn't play small ball. The team they don't. Jorge Mateo. Do you ever see him squirt a bunt? Ever?
No.
He is the
we
fastest
very rarely
guy
see
on the team.
Mullins do it.
Mullins bunted for a base hit last night because he was trying to spark the team.
Yeah.
They won the game last night going away. They won 8-1. But Mullins is trying to do what he can to get on base for this ball club. Jorge Mateo he's one of the worst offensive players in the league. And if he's going to play, the fact that he doesn't have the drag bunt in his offensive repertoire, it drives me insane.
Yeah.
And you know that you're never going to see him square the bunt. When he does, he's bad at it.
Yeah.
He's bad at it. You are useless to this team offensively if you're not getting on base because you have 0 hits. You have 0 walks. You are absolutely useless to this ball club because the one thing that you can do offensively is run. And you're not on base to do it. You're not on base to do it. You are absolutely useless to this ball club.
It's funny is the best thing he can do is run, but he can't run down a fly ball.
Both of those.
I didn't want to go there, but
no, but you have to go there. Nobody and look, like Andy Kotzka. I don't know why, but Andy Kotzka deleted his Twitter account today.
He brought it back today. He deleted all of this stuff from the last 24 hours, though.
Oh, okay.
He did delete. It was gone for about an hour.
Gotcha. Well,
he was getting dogged a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, fans bully these beat writers. They bully the guys that cover the team, but it's because nobody asks the questions. Nobody asks the hard questions to figure out why they run the ball club the way they run the ball club. This team has so much effing talent on it. You can't tell me that a team that has Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Ryan Mountcastle, Jackson Holliday, Jordan Westberg, Tyler O'Neill, Cedric Mullins in their lineup more often than not is a bad baseball team. You can't tell me that this team is this bad. What the hell is going on? And Zach, let me ask you this. We play this pick to click game on Facebook, and I actually posted earlier today in it. Can I say nobody? Can I pick nobody? Because
no, you win too often.
They've hit one home run since last Saturday.
Yeah.
And it was Setty's leadoff homer on Thursday. They've hit one home run in a full week.
Yep. And they asked Brandon Hyde about that today, and he's like, well, the wind was a little bit different here.
Oh, shut the hell up.
Yeah.
They're playing in the wind too.
Tyler O'Neill is strong enough to hit a ball through the wind. I'm sorry. I don't care if it's blowing in 50 miles an hour. That dude's an ox. He's going to hit a ball through it if he wants to. And Gunnar probably could too.
Zach, they're not hitting the ball in the air.
I know. They're not even squaring it up.
Yeah, they're not squaring it up. They're not hitting the ball in the air. 2 days ago, Ryan O'Hearn's last start, he hit 2 of the slowest ground balls I've ever seen him hit since he's been in Baltimore. Just little, like 15 hoppers to first and to second base. They're not squaring the ball up. They're not hitting the ball in the air. They're not hitting the ball out of the ballpark. They hit 9 home runs the first 3 games of the year. They have 1 since.
Yeah.
1.
And look, I feel like their approach at the plate has been better. It's just sometimes they are just getting beat by good pitches. And I think we can agree on that just happens, and that's okay. Sometimes you just get beat. Sometimes they're also swinging at good pitches, and that this is where our issue is they're not getting lift or they're not hitting it hard. Ryan O'Hearn right now is hitting the ball hard less than 15%.
Yeah.
That's bad. Tyler O'Neill's like 7th in baseball at a 56% clip. He's stinging the ball. Holliday, I think, is like 32nd or something like that. He's hitting it 43% hard out of the time. Kerstad doesn't have enough at bats, kind of thing.
Which is a freaking shame. Cowser goes down and he still can't get into a game more than once a week.
Look, I understand, and I made this point yesterday. I didn't want to be harp on it too much. That play that he made in left field, to me, I thought was a communication issue, where it looked like he didn't follow Setty. Setty was shaded in the right field, and I don't think he followed. And it almost looked like he kind of slowed up and looked like, okay, this is a spot where a center fielder should catch the ball, and he stopped. And because he didn't, there was no communication to say, hey, follow me. He would have known Setty wasn't there. It was almost like, and granted, he's only had, a handful of innings in left field?
Yeah.
But it was like, I'm on it. I'm in the territory where I should be on a center fielder. Where are you? And then it was, oh, shit, That goes back to coaching. Like, you guys got to communicate. The communication this year has been awful. And yes, that one is Kerstad's fault, but it's a little bit on the coaching. Like, he hasn't had much time out in left field. You're just throwing him on out there. Like, yeah, he's got to earn his time. I understand that, and he hasn't shown you anything yet to warrant the playing time out in the field. But he's shown you he's got a good arm. He's got 2 outfield assists already. Like, I understand some of his routes aren't the greatest. You know who some of the routes weren't the greatest when they started either? Was Anthony Santander. And then by the time last year, he was one of the best route runners. I shouldn't say runners, it's not football. But he's one of the best route takers in all of baseball last year. He was top 10. He could take the right route to get to the ball. Everything after that was just kind of what it was.
He's just not that fast. You know what I mean? But, like, he caught the balls he was supposed to catch.
Right, because he took good routes. He got in a position where he should have been. Heston will learn to do that. He's faster already. He's got a better arm. He's got to learn the routes. And if Anthony made that big of a production, why couldn't Herstad? He's just got to get the reps. And this goes back to not knowing who the hell you're playing next to every day. Like, Setty barely played center field with Kerstad in left field in spring. He was always in right. He had a couple games left, not many. By the time he was in left, though, Setty was out. So these guys really haven't even played next to each other, like almost at all. O'Neill played a lot of left field in spring training. He's been playing a lot of right field lately. Complete backwards of what we did in entire spring training here. So it all comes back to reps. Pick your damn best 9 and put them out there. And if you have to flip-flop Kerstad and O'Neill, right, left field, every other, whatever. I don't care about that. I don't think those two probably do either, because it makes your team better that if both of them can play the corners, fine. Ramon Laureano is your backup center fielder. End point.
Bar none. Yeah.
Bar none.
Absolutely.
Never Mateo again. And he's your backup right fielder. He's your backup left fielder. Ryan O'Hearn in emergency situations only.
Not because the manager doesn't want to pinch hit Mountcastle for O'Hearn for some odd reason, and he wants to put O'Hearn in right field because he pinch hits for the wrong guy.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, some of the things that happen. And look, there's a reason that teams that rebuild have a manager that gets them through the rebuild, and then they go and they get an experienced veteran manager to try and make a World Series run. There's a reason that these managers don't make it to the promised land after the rebuild is over. I think the ship has sailed on Brandon Hyde. Of course, I've been so outspoken about him for now. This is my 4th season being this outspoken about him. Like, this is old hat for me. But at some point, I don't know if he makes it through the season. I saw your live hit a little bit earlier today talking about how Joe Girardi in 2022, the Phillies were 23-29. They fired Girardi because his message had gone stale. He'd lost control of the clubhouse. They bring in the new manager, and then immediately the Phillies go on this hot run. I think they won like 11 of 12 immediately following Girardi's firing.
They made the World Series.
And they get all the way to the World Series, and then they get to the NLCS the next year. This team needs a new voice. They need a veteran manager who knows how to win. I don't know that you find that guy in the middle of the season. I will tell you that I think that the guy who could have better control and a better read of this team is a few feet down the bench from Brandon Hyde. Yeah, you've got Robinson Chirinos, who was like the catcher whisperer when he was Adley's backup when Adley debuted in 2022, and then you've got Buck Britton, who won a lot of games and some championships with a lot of guys that are on this roster, and he has their respect. For me, if Brandon Hyde's message has gone stale, and you don't there's nobody out there for you to go get, because unless you go and you actually bring Buck Showalter back, who else is out there that has that managing the acumen that's available right now? There's really nobody out there. So unless you want to make somebody a first-time manager, which is what you're going to have to do, Brendan Hyde's going to make it through the rest of the season. But I would not be shocked if this is his last year in Baltimore. I also would be shocked if it's his last year in Baltimore, because, my God, man, I just feel like there's everybody that's in a position of leadership on this ball club as far as the front office and coaching staff. I just feel like it's just like the Ravens. John Harbaugh can do no wrong. This front office and this manager apparently can do no wrong. But
yeah,
we have run super long here on this opening segment. Today's show is brought to you by Classic 5 Golf. If you want to improve your golf game or learn to play for the first time, the Baltimore Golf Academy has fun, instructional programs for the beginner golfer to the everyday players. The Baltimore Golf.
Talk.
Oh, I got you. The Baltimore Golf Academy can take your game to the next level. Enroll today at BaltimoreGolfAcademy.com. All right, what's got you so excited?
So I had to look this up because, I mean, like you were just talking about with potentially Buck Britton. Rob Thompson did not have major league manager experience before taking over the Phillies in 2022. He was a minor league manager. So if the Phillies have the balls to do it and make it to the World Series, I'm jumping on that train here shortly.
I've been on that train for a long, long time. And one of the reasons that I almost didn't go to opening day this year is because the Orioles, within 18 hours after scoring one run in the AL wildcard series last year, within 18 hours, they announced Brandon Hyde would be returning for this season. And for me, it's just like, I can see it. And one of the most, my brain's not working fully today. I don't know what's going on.
I think you and I are both so frustrated right now that it's just not, because my brain's doing the same thing. It's just not 100% there.
I can't think of the word, but one of the best moments for me over this past year with regards to the Orioles is, look, I don't pull stuff out of my ass when I talk about this team. I like to think that I know what I'm talking about, and I consider myself an Orioles expert. Maybe not necessarily a baseball expert, but I consider myself an Orioles expert. And I feel like I know a lot about the game. To see so many people give me crap from 2022 through 2023 about my disdain for Brandon Hyde, and then see so many people jump off the Brandon Hyde wagon last year and seeing it continue. It feels like vindication. That's the word I'm looking for. I feel vindicated because I've been saying this. Everything that all these people are seeing from him now, I've been seeing for now 3.5 seasons, and it's just like, if everybody that's not a manager, not a coach, not part of the team can see this happening, how is nothing being done about it? And you cannot tell me that Sig Mejdal and Eve Rosenbaum and Mike Elias use their computers, use their analytics, and looked at what the possible lineup that the Orioles could post today and said, no, we're not playing Cedric Mullins, who's 4 for 8 with a home run off of Bubic in his career. No, we're not playing Kerstead. No, we're not playing Holiday, even though Bubic has reverse splits and lefties hitting better than righties. You can't tell me that they didn't see that and they still told Brandon Hyde, go ahead and play these guys. I'm just not buying it, and I will never buy it until they come out and say, we make the lineup and Brandon Hyde's our little puppet. And they're never going to say that. So for me, we're beating a dead horse here. I just don't think that Brandon Hyde has what it takes to get the Orioles over the top. Now, here's the other thing. It doesn't feel like the rotation has what it takes to get to get the Orioles over the top. Through 10 games, this starting rotation, Zach, has 2 quality starts. They're both from Zach Eflin. They remain the only 2. Now, look, Cade Povich, if Bobby Witt's triple had rightfully been called an error, today would have been a quality start for Cade Povich. He would have gone 6 innings of 1-run ball. He gave up 13 hits. He gave up 4 runs. He wasn't spectacular, but he didn't walk anybody, and he took the Orioles through 6 innings. He went deep for them because they needed him to do that. They needed him, and he showed up when they needed him to. 6 innings pitched, 4 earned runs. Really should have been 1 earned run. 13 hits. But to me, that's close enough to a quality start. Sagano yesterday, 5 1/3 innings, gives up 4 hits, 1 run. He was exactly what I expected him to be. I think last week's his first start was a lot of nerves more than anything else. Yeah. But here's the thing. Dean Kramer and Cade Povich, they haven't shown any ability to minimize damage when the defense lets them down. The defense has been letting them down frequently. And then you look at Charlie Morton. It is...
Charlie started really bad that second time, and I think he definitely kind of started to kind of find a groove a little bit. And he started to get a little bit better, and he battled. He did what a veteran was supposed to do. I think I'm not ready to throw the towel on Charlie just yet. I think Charlie, he's old enough to know that a slow start sucks, but he's good enough to get back on track.
Well, apparently that's what he does. Apparently it does take him a few starts to get going. But look, he had 17 to 20 whiffs, something like that in that game. Yeah. And he struck out 10 in 5 innings. How you strike out 10 in 5 innings and give up 5 runs and 8 to 10 hits?
Walk a guy and give up a home run. That's how.
Yeah, he just, and that's the thing. He had 2 walks that immediately preceded 2 2-run homers. Yeah. And that was kind of the difference in the ball game also the other day. So look, Morton, I think he's going to figure it out. Eflin, we know who he is. And Sagano, I think he's going to be who I expected him to be, which I expect that he's going to lead the Orioles in ERA. They've got to figure it. Grayson Rodriguez can't get back soon enough. You've got to figure out what's going on with Cade Povich. Is he the guy that we saw in spring training, or is he, and the guy that we saw last September, is he more that guy who's going to pitch to a lot of contact and he's just a placeholder right now? And I'll tell you right now, I cannot, I don't know how they justify coming into the season bringing in 4 pitchers, 4 free agent pitchers, and all 4 of them are age 35 plus.
I don't know what Kyle Gibson gives his team. Other than I've seen people say that like he's the rah-rah guy or something, the spoken leader. Is he a bit better than what we have in the rotation right now?
He's not. He's exactly what we already have in the rotation right now.
Like, so who are you giving up to replace with guy who's essentially the same thing? It's got to be Cade, right?
Yeah.
So again, we're going to limit our young guys on not trying to get better for ageless wonders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just...
Where does that take you long term? You can't get any better if you don't throw your guys into the fire to see what they have. Houston just did it. I remember that start last year we played them, that young kid ended up getting hurt.
Yeah, what's his name? I know who you're talking about.
I forget his name.
Is it Blanco? Is it Raimel Blanco?
I don't know. I don't remember his name. I'll have to go back and look, but they were confident enough in him. Like, he was there to stay if he didn't get hurt. And they were confident enough to probably give him 10 starts to see what he can do, unless it was obviously blown up after 5.
Mm-hmm.
Why can we not have the same confidence in our young players that we trusted and developed? Don't keep hanging on to these old dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Ramon
it was
Urias
Blanco.
Okay. So Ramon Urias is a guy that I'm okay with. You know, he has proven every year to do enough to help this team, whether it be a 1 year defensively and a couple years offensively. He finds a way to keep himself in the lineup. But through nine starts, 9 games now, Mateo's got what, 10 games? So Mateo's got what, 5 starts? 4 starts?
Something like that.
4 or 5. Ramon's got what? Valeriano has 3 starts already? These guys should not be starting more than 33% of the games already beginning of this year. Left-handers or not. You got to give your young guys a chance. If Kyle Gibson's ready, I'm sorry, Cade Povich needs a chance to prove that he can become a big league pitcher. And it's you're not going to find that answer in 4 starts, 3 starts, 5 starts, whatever. The kid needs 20 starts. Now, you know, are we in a position to potentially take 10, 12 losses when he pitches? No, because, you know, we have high aspirations. But if he grows into that guy that can help you, okay, now you've got something cooking here. You're cooking with gas. How the hell are you going to know if you send him down when Kyle Gibson's ready?
Yeah.
But like Jeff said, it's a broken record. It's a broken record with the Orioles rotation. Like, yeah, because you're not giving. Brandon Young needs a shot. I'm sorry. He needs a shot. You know, McDermott should have probably stayed here longer than 1 start last year because you needed to see what the hell you had. It wasn't the most amazing start in the world. I'm not ever going to look at a young kid in the face and expect him to go out there and throw 7 of 2-hit ball. It ain't going to happen. Not in your major league debut. I want to see what you do in starts 3, 4, and 5.
Right.
Get these kids a damn chance. Now, does Kyle Gibson probably give us maybe a slight more of a chance to win? Maybe. But you know who Kyle Gibson is. You know what he's going to give you long term. You don't know what Cade Povich can grow into. You're not cutting Charlie Morton for Kyle Gibson.
No.
You're not cutting Dean Kramer.
No.
You're not getting rid of Sagano. Definitely not getting rid of Eflin. The only choice is Cade Povich because you already don't have any room in the bullpen to go to a 6-man because now your bullpen's even thinner with no options. That, you know, you're screwing them even more. I didn't understand that signing at all.
Yeah, it made no sense to me. And I think Lance Lynn just retired. David Robertson, I think, is still out there. But I mean, at this point, you're not bringing somebody off the free agent scrap heap at this point. What you have there is what you have. But you look, you signed 4 pitchers. Last offseason, you signed 1 pitcher.
Yeah.
And he was a 35-year-old Craig Kimbrell, and he fell off a cliff the second half of the season. He was absolutely horrendous the second half of the season. Yep. So this year, to remedy that, you signed 4 pitchers who were 35 plus. One's a 35-year-old rookie. One is Andrew Kittredge, who was on the IL with after having a knee surgery. One is Charlie Morton, who was given up, 12 runs in 8 innings pitched, and he gave up, 3 home runs already. And the other one is Kyle Gibson, who is currently in extended spring training trying to ramp up to come save the Orioles. And like,
what's he saving?
Right. He's the same pitcher. You replace Charlie Morton with Kyle Gibson, you have the same pitcher. You know,
Charlie Morton's going to get you more strikeouts.
Yeah, because he throws 96, 97 miles an hour. You know, and like, look, from what I've seen, what I saw out of Charlie Morton the other day, 3 starts from now, we're going to be happy that he's on the mound, I think. You know, and same thing with Sagano. But I think also what this team is banking on is Kyle Bradish coming back in the second half. And look, Rock reported today that Kyle Bradish was throwing 90-plus miles an hour.
That was a nice little surprise on a Sunday morning.
Yeah, and that kind of gives you a little bit more hope that he can be effective for this team. If he's already throwing 90-plus miles an hour on flat ground at this point,
And you're letting him?
And it's April, and you're letting him do that. To me, that says this is a guy who may be able to come back in July.
Yeah.
As opposed to, and we also have to remember that John Means had a setback with a scapula injury in 2023. And that's why he wasn't able to come back and pitch for the Orioles before September. Felix Bautista had a setback with scar tissue in his elbow after having Tommy John surgery, and that's why we didn't see him towards the end of last season and at all in the postseason. If Kyle Bradish has no setbacks, if Tyler Wells has no setbacks, and Tyler Wells, because he has that brace on the UCL, it's not quite the same thing as a Tommy John surgery, but it does mean that he can come back a little bit quicker, I think. If those guys have no setbacks and they're able to get back in July, maybe this team is banking on there's your ace. Grayson could hopefully develop into an ace. And you've got Zach Eflin. Now you're looking at a rotation where Charlie Morton's your number 4 instead of your number 2, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, and now you feel a lot better.
You're looking at Dean Kramer's number 5. You're like, okay. And now you've got Bradish, Eflin, and Grayson at the top of your rotation. Okay. And maybe what you end up doing is you trade for a Sandy Alcantara, even though the Marlins are sitting there saying he's not on the trade block. We're not trading him. I don't know why. They suck, and they're never not going to suck. Yeah. I think they've made the postseason 3 times.
I think they have to. Yeah, they have to say that until they're out of it. They're going to be sellers at the deadline, and they're going to look to move him. They're going to look to acquire a lot of prospects. And look, if it takes Dean Kramer and Kobe Mayo to get that trade done, because he still has, 3 years of control, including this year, so 2 extra years, you got to make that deal. Why wouldn't you acquire an ace? Because if you don't, the Yankees are going to. And if the Yankees don't, somehow the Dodgers will. Let's be honest.
Well, and there's rumors that the Yankees are looking into Zach Gallen now that Corbin Burns is gone. And Zach Gallen, he's a free agent after this year, right?
After this year, yeah.
Yeah, so I could see the Yankees making that move, knowing that they're likely going to get Cole back probably by May at the latest next year if he has no setbacks. Now for the Orioles, they're going, if they go and they acquire a Sandy Alcantara, he's not a free agent until 2027. So you have him the rest of this year. You have him all of next year. You go into next year with Kyle Bradish, Grayson Rodriguez, and Sandy Alcantara at the top of your rotation.
You're looking good.
Oh, absolutely. And so look, I can understand why they wouldn't go out and sign they tried to sign Corbin Burns, but that's because he was already here, and they wanted that. If they were going to sign any free agent pitcher, it was going to be him, because they already knew him, they liked him, they were comfortable with him in their rotation. I still maintain that Brandon Hyde is the main reason that Corbin Burns didn't want to come back in. You'll never convince me otherwise. But you're not going to sign Fried. You're not going to trade for Crochet, because you anticipate that in 2026 your starting rotation is headed by Grayson Rodriguez and Kyle Bradish, who should be 2 aces at the top of your rotation. Yeah. And you also want to extend your young players. With that in mind, Zach Eflin, should the Orioles extend him? Will the Orioles extend him? And what does an extension like that look like?
I would go 3-year 66 right now.
Yeah.
Might as well. Get it over with, right? 22 a year. He's getting 25 to 30 in the open market, because somebody's going to pay it. And if it's not
25
30,
to 30 for Eflin, 30.
If somebody's willing to pay it, yeah.
That's a lot.
Is he worth it? Probably not. But I mean, we see these contracts every year just to kick off free agency. If somebody's willing to pay it and they want to outbid everybody else, they're going to do it. I mean, did the Yankees care that they pay Zach Eflin for $30 million? No, not at all. They don't give a shit. Excuse my French. Yeah. What's the difference then between 25 and 30? If it lands you, they don't care. They'll make that back in 2 games? They don't care at all. I mean, I think he's worth probably more in the 20 to 25, but if you get into a bidding war, you're going to lose. Get it done now.
Right.
22 a year for Zach Eflin, and if he turns into your number 4 because these other guys come back and do well, that's a really, really good rotation. I would 1,000% try to lock him up, even if it's just a 2-year deal. I don't care if it's 2 for 48. Just get it done. Secure it just in case you're not scrambling next year if Kyle Bradish doesn't come back to who he was, or if Grayson Rodriguez does get hurt again. Give yourself a chance, because what they did this year and kind of scrambling at the very last second, right now it's not working. I think long term it's going to be I shouldn't say okay, but it's going to be enough, I should say. Maybe. I don't know. I don't even know what to think at this point.
Yeah. All I think at this point is that this front office cannot look at this team as it currently stands and say this rotation is good enough.
Yeah.
And can you realistically, Zach, wait until the All-Star break? Can this rotation and frankly this bullpen hold the team afloat until? And I don't even mean the All-Star break. I mean the deadline. Can this pitching staff as a whole hold the team afloat until the end of July, beginning of August, when you go and get reinforcements? For me, you look at what Texas did 2 years ago. They went and they got Aroldis Chapman in like late April.
Yeah.
You've got to, because I'm sorry, there's not an, what's his name? Erseg? There's not an Erseg on this roster. There's not a Mason Miller on this roster right now. Felix Bautista, we believe he is a legitimate closer for this team, but he's still only topping out at 98, which is fast, but it ain't 103.
Right. And Erseg is a closer who's not closing. And I've been beating that all year. Like you need to have that secondary guy who you can count on, one, to either get you to Felix, or two, to give Felix a night off. Because we don't want Felix going back-to-back all the time early in the season. You know, maybe in July and August, yeah, sure. Like, let's start getting a little ramped up here. In April, no. I want to have that second guy that I have my full trust in. Is Sir Anthony pitching pretty decent right now? Sure. Do I trust him? No.
Baker,
not
same
yet.
thing.
Right. Baker, no.
Cano, do you ever trust Cano in a game?
No. Not after the seventh inning. Cano in the seventh inning is almost unhittable. In the eighth inning, he's decent. In the ninth inning, he just gets rocked in his career. But I see a Dietz thing here about Ryan Weathers. Look, Ryan Weathers, prior to getting hurt, was throwing 98 this year. He'd added velocity to his fastball. He had dropped 25 pounds. He was looking really, really good. He's a guy who can grow into a number 2. He's got really good stuff. And we don't really have a hard-throwing lefty in the entire organization. Do we at all? I think.
Sorry, I was reading a quote. Can you repeat that question?
Do we even have a hard-throwing lefty at all? Because Morphy throws 100, but he's right-handed, right?
Who?
Keeler Morphy, the kid who started the prospects game. He's he's a righty. Yeah. I don't think we have anybody in the organization throwing over 95 from the left side.
No, I don't think that they do. I mean, Aiken can ramp it up there, but you don't trust Aiken at all. Neither do I. You know, Perez can get it up there, but oh my God, he has been. Drew French called him a strike throwing monster in spring training, and he has been.
He's throwing strikes. It's just right down the middle.
Yeah, he has been absolutely atrocious to start this season. I cannot believe that. I mean, I thought they were either going to put him on the IL after that game the other night, or he was going to get DFA because he's out of options. I mean, they let him go out there and throw 37 pitches and give up 5 runs.
Well, did you hear why?
Well, because
they didn't want to use anybody else.
Yeah, Brandon Hyde said that the bullpen is taxed because the rotation isn't getting deep. So Perez had to kind of take one for the team there. It's like in a 1-run ball game, your mentality is let's go take one for the team. Like it's a 1-run ball game, man.
Yeah,
you're down 3-2 in the 8th inning.
Yep.
Like what are we doing? What are we doing? You know, and that's because you're carrying how many pitchers are in this bullpen that have no options.
Good call, Adit. Luis De Leon. I forgot about him.
Oh, gotcha. Adit, Luis De Leon.
He's 21. Where did he go? Did they put him on the Bowie roster?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
They need to, if they didn't. Juan Nunez is back. He's there. Patrick Riley, Alex Pham. No. Is he really back in Aberdeen?
Probably. I mean, if he's that young, probably.
They're being so slow with certain guys. Luis De Leon in Aberdeen. Riley Cooper in Aberdeen. Riley Cooper's a left-handed guy who throws upper 90s. He's what? He was born in 2001. How old does that make you now? 24.
24.
Why are you in single A when you're a lefty throwing upper 90s? I do not care that he's 270 pounds. Put him in Bowie and see what you got. They're being a little too slow with some of these guys.
Yeah, I can't speak for what they're doing in the minor leagues, because we've seen guys come to the big leagues that they've called up and flourish. I mean, they called Gunnar up at 21 years old, and he hit the ground running. Westberg's been really good. I mean, Westberg got called up and he's never been back down, and he never will. He'll never go back down. You know, Kalzer was not great. But the fact remains that they've hit more often than not on these prospects that they're calling up, and they tend to leave them at levels for a pretty extended period of time. With that being said, 24 years old, throwing upper 90s from the left side, and you're still only in high A.
Right.
You know, I was surprised to see Bradfield only start the year in Bowie. I know he's not a pitcher, but I was surprised to see him start the year in Bowie. I thought that he'd be playing center field.
I don't think they have room in AAA.
Yeah.
They just have so many good outfielders that who taking the bats from, I think is where that came in. Like, let him play every day. And honestly, like, most teams go from AA to the big leagues. The Orioles always have that extra step. Some of them you still use AAA, but for the most part, I would say probably 65% of the teams, maybe 70% go from AA straight to the big leagues. So it's not that big of a deal if Bradfield's in AA. There's a lot of pitching in this organization. They're just being a little slow with it.
Yeah.
Like, I think, Peter Van Loon is a guy that we could see sometime soon. Levi Wells, Patrick Riley, Pham, Nunez, Ryan Long, Preston Johnson, Dylan Hyde, Trace Bright. Like, this is all in Bowie. Like, it's not that far away, but then I'm looking at Aberdeen's, pitching staff, and I'm like, why are these guys even here? But then I just listed all those guys in Bowie. But you got like Nestor Germain, he's in Aberdeen, Blake Money, Michael Fourette. These are all guys that throw high 90s. Luis De Leon, Riley Cooper. Like, Aberdeen's got some stacked starting pitching. Mm-hmm. So, and bullpen guys too, obviously, but they're just slow playing these guys. Like, McDermott should be here. Brandon Young should be here. Like, don't just keep just fiddling them along. Like, push the buttons a little bit with some of these guys. Put Patrick Riley in Norfolk. See what you got. Can he get some of these 4A players out? And if he doesn't, okay, put him back down in AA. Let him learn a little bit more. He could go up there and absolutely dominate, and then you're like, oh man, he's really ready. Like, that Billy Cook trade is really working out. How the hell are you going to know in AA? They're being a little too slow. They seem to be fairly aggressive with the hitters, which I'm fine with. I mean, I feel like they've been aggressive with Basayo. They've been aggressive pretty much with Bradfield. They were aggressive with Jordan and Gunnar. Why is pitching any different, especially when you need it?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's just because it's a little bit more difficult for pitchers to get to the big league level and have early success than it is for hitters. And I get it that the gap from AAA to the majors is the biggest gap in all professional sports for minors, from the instructional and developmental level to the professional level. I totally understand that. But it seems like it's hitters are more apt to hit the ground running than a pitcher, and a pitcher will go out there and they'll get nervous, and the next thing you know, you'll see something implode, and it impacts the entire game. Whereas you call up a young hitting prospect, and they're going to get up 4 times in a game. You have 8 other guys that can rally around that player, and that's the only excuse that I can think of for it. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense that these guys are toiling away at the lower levels of the minors when they've got that kind of electric stuff. So today's show is brought to you by Glenn Clark Radio. Did you miss anything from Glenn Clark Radio this week, including conversations with Maryland legend Steve Blake, Mike Bordick, and Catonsville native Adam Kolarek after his retirement from Major League Baseball? Find them all now in the Glenn Clark Radio Weekend Review feature at PressBoxOnline.com. And as always, watch or listen to GCR every Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. at PressBoxOnline.com/radio, or right here on Facebook and YouTube. All right, it's time for us to take a look around the American League East in our AL East roundup. Brian Reynolds smacked a third-inning 2-run double, and Andrew Heaney struck out 10 in 7 innings of 1-run balls. It was all Pirates until the top of the ninth when the Yankees scored 3 runs with 2 outs, capped off the Trent Grisham 2-run single to tie the game and eventually send it to extras, where Tommy Pham, who was mentioned in the comments a little bit earlier, saved the game for Pittsburgh with a walk-off single in the bottom of the 11th inning as Pittsburgh took down the Yankees 5-4. Pete Alonso and Brandon Nimmo each drove in a run in a 2-run second, and that was all the offense the Mets would need and get as David Peterson and 4 Mets relievers combined to allow 1 run on 4 hits, despite Peterson's 5 walks, as the Mets took down the Blue Jays 2-1. And finally, Rafael Devers hit his first homer this season, but the Red Sox still found themselves down 4-2 in the 9th when they loaded the bases and ultimately scored 2 runs to tie the game. And then they closed things out in the bottom of the 10th inning with a Wilyer Abreu RBI single to walk off the St. Louis Cardinals. Red Sox 5, Cardinals 4.
So Bowden Francis for the Blue Jays has now allowed 2 runs or less in his last 11 of 12 starts. 2 runs or less, and he lost today, giving up 2. He gave up 2 and 5 1/3, and lost.
That's a hard luck loser.
That's Blue Jays for you.
That's a hard luck loser. And can you imagine
who did you say was pitching in Philly? I mean, on Pittsburgh. Andrew Heaney.
Andrew Heaney.
Yeah, remember I talked about him a little bit and how he would help this team out?
Yeah, but he's going to have
10
a
Ks
4.5
against the Yankees.
ERA. He's going to have a 4.5 ERA by the time the season
in Pittsburgh,
is
sure, yeah, but I mean,
yeah,
look,
I mean,
I think he's better right now than Kyle Gibson and Charlie Morton.
Sure, but how much better? Better than them enough that it makes that big of a difference. I'm not trying to disagree with you here.
He's a left-handed pitcher that we don't really have many of.
I don't know why. Who was it? Jeremy Hellickson, right? You remember Jeremy Hellickson? When I think of Andrew Heaney, I think of Jeremy Hellickson. I don't know why.
A guy who could be really good, but he just never takes that step.
Exactly. That's just who I think of when I think of Andrew Heaney is Jeremy Hellickson. And I think
of Matt Moore. Obviously, he doesn't throw as hard as Matt Moore, but Matt Moore was like that guy that he burst. God, remember when he bursted on the scene? He was like unhittable. And then it was like everyone and their mother started hitting him. And then it was like he found a way to prolong his career and became a pretty decent reliever. And then it was like everybody and his mother hit him again. And now it's like I think he's just finally done it 39 or something like that. He found a way to make it happen after just getting obliterated after he started off like a bat out of hell. It was crazy. At one point I thought, I was like, that might be the best reliever in baseball when he first came on the scene. No one could touch him. It was 98, 99 from the left side. It was incredible to watch. And then it was just I think even the 2017 Orioles or 18 Orioles were even hitting him. It got bad.
Yeah. It's funny because just like there's a Hunter Renfroe in baseball and a Hunter Renfroe in football, and both of them have had standout points in their careers, but then they really just kind of toiled around the league. It's the same thing with Matt Moore. There's a Matt Moore in baseball and there's a Matt Moore in football, and they both have had, points where you're like, oh, this could be somebody. This could really be somebody. And then the next thing you know, they're just completely ineffective at what they do. It's just funny how sometimes that works out. The AL East Roundup has been brought to you by Pressbox's print edition. The latest edition of Pressbox is available now. On the cover, Orioles owner David Rubenstein sits down for a Q&A with Stan the Fan, Charles, and Glenn Clark. Also inside, we meet new Oriole Tyler O'Neill, as well as college lacrosse players from around the state. You can find the new issue all throughout the region, including at 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. Zach, you looked like something made you want to say something while I was reading that read.
No, I was reading the other notes about who we were facing with Eflin and Gallen, Morton and Kelly, and then Kramer and I don't even know how to say that last name.
Brandon Fat.
Yeah, there you go. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, man, in a normal situation, we're really happy that we missed Corbin Burns. And then I'm looking at his 2 starts this year, and I'm like, damn, maybe we really could have got things going against Corbin Burns.
Yeah, right. Oh, he would have absolutely shoved against
somehow. Against but he got himself shoved today in DC.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, he had 5 walks, I think it was 4 walks.
Wow,
he was struggling.
He was ineffective really in his last start too.
Yeah, he's got a 5.79 ERA right now.
Can you imagine
7 hits, 4 walks, 4 earned?
Can you imagine if the Orioles brought him back and he started his season this way in Baltimore?
No, yeah.
Oh my God.
We'd be having some fun on Twitter, that's for sure.
Oh my God. And honestly, I'd probably be leading the charge, losing my mind. You could have had Garrett Crochet.
Right.
You
That
know?
would have been our luck, though. That would have been our luck.
Right.
It doesn't matter what we do right now. It's not working out.
So as you said, we're headed for Arizona next here in Baltimore. Zach Eflin takes on Zach Gallen tomorrow night. Gallen has averaged nearly 15 wins and a 3.20 ERA his last 3 years, which means that it feels like the offensive woes are going to continue. But I also remember an Orioles team last year that scored 8 runs off of Zach Wheeler in 2 innings, and they had like 3 home runs in the first inning, including a leadoff bomb by Gunnar Henderson. And look, Gunnar is going to get it going. Gunnar is going to get it going. I know that he struck out 5 times in 6 at bats from yesterday into today, and he's only squared up. He squared up a couple of baseballs in his first start of the year, but it hasn't looked great for Gunnar. The at bats haven't looked great, but he just needs to run into one, and then you know that he's gonna get on a roll there. Look, I think Westbrook. Here's what I want to see. Here's what I need to see, and we'll get into the rest of the matchups, but. What I really want to see from this team is put out a lineup for the same lineup for like 4 games. Yeah. Just put the same lineup. Give me Gunnar, Westberg, and I'm sorry, I'm done with Adley Rutschman hitting second. Yeah. I'm done with him hitting second. And honestly, what I would love to see the lineup be, and I know you're probably on this train too, but it's probably not going to happen until June at the earliest. Holiday, Westberg, Gunnar, O'Neill, Rutschman, Kjerstad, Mountcastle, Mullins, and then who would be who would be hitting 9th, I guess? Or is that 1 through 9? I think that's there. I think that's everybody. Well, you know what? I didn't have a DH, so maybe you have O'Hearn DH or something like that. But I would love to see the top 5 in your order be Holiday, Westberg, Gunnar, O'Neill, Rutschman. Give me that every day for a week. And let's just see what happens. Let's just see how the Orioles put the bat on the ball, how they play, because we've seen 15 different lineups somehow in 10 games this year. Yeah. They've played 10 games. It feels like they've had 15 different lineups. Let's get some consistency. I don't need to see Mullins hitting leadoff one day. And then I can buy Hyde this message now. I don't need to see Mullins hitting leadoff one day, then 3rd the next day, then clean up the next day, then 7th the next day, then 6th the next. I don't need to see that. Right. Get some stability in your lineup and defensively. How can Brandon Hyde say we need to be better defensively, and then post the lineups that he's posting every day? You're not giving anybody a chance to get comfortable and get situated and settle in. Everybody's just moving all around. It's absolute madness. Anyway. The other matchups in Game 2 of the series is Charlie Morton versus Merrill Kelly. Kelly has a 3.45 ERA the last 3 seasons. And then in the finale, Dean Kramer versus Brandon Pfaadt. Might be the Orioles' best chance at their next win. Pfaadt has a career 5.06 ERA, and he has allowed 4 home runs in 12 innings this season. Can the Orioles go out there and win 2 or 3? And let me rephrase that, because they can. They can go out there and they can sweep. You will not convince me that this is not a good ball club, right? Until they're 15 games below 500, or maybe 6 games, whatever. Will they go out there and win 2 or 3 against 2 quality pitchers in Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly? I just don't think it's happening.
After what we've seen so far, no. I mean, I'm with you. I think everybody's just scuffling right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm literally sitting here looking at just Gunnar Henderson right now. I had this thought in my mind that he really struggles with that high and away fastball, especially with 2 strikes. I feel like he watches it all the damn time. So I had to look it up. Mm-hmm. Right now this year, he's seen it 40 times and he's whiffed 10 of them. He hasn't put a ball in play yet.
Wait, so you said Gunnar Henderson?
Yes.
You said he's seen the high fastball, the high and away fastball?
High and away fastball. I'm sorry, not 40 total pitches. He's whiffed on 4 of them. I read it wrong. Mm-hmm. What is this? Never mind. 26 of the 39 pitches he's seen up and away. Mm-hmm. I'm really reading this wrong. Last year, same thing. Hit 223 in that zone. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to figure that out. Anyway, so Arizona's going to be attacking that. They know that. They're pulling the same damn stats that I am. They're giving this right to their catcher. Moreno's looking at it, and they already know how they're going to attack him. They're going to go up and away. The same thing they did with Jackson Holiday last year. Down and in, down and in, down and in, up and away. It's a lefty's weakness. So until we kind of snap out of some of our standards of how we hit, I think we're going to still see a very inconsistent offense. I think we look over the plate far too often, middle in, and that's almost it sometimes. When Gunnar Henderson was driving the ball to left field last year, he was unbeatable. He would drive that ball to left center, and he would get a double. He would get a triple. He would drive the ball down left field, and he would test guys like Rosarena, go into third when he wasn't paying attention. Like that was prime Gunnar Henderson. Everything now is, let me try to hit the ball out of the ballpark, which is cool. It gets the fans excited, but that approach, that opposite field approach that we've seen from like Holiday and Kjerstad hasn't trickled over to Gunnar yet. And when it does, I think these numbers here start to come up. But Adley's kind of the same way. Right now it seems like they're all struggling on that high outside pitch right now. And I don't know if it's obviously that's a pitch that's very hard to hit out. Are they still going after that home run or nothing approach? That I don't know. But it sure seems like it when I'm looking at zones like this. I would honestly love to see how everybody's doing against it. Completely honest with you, because they're all just struggling, and it's kind of getting annoying.
It doesn't feel like this lineup has an approach. I'll tell you that I found myself watching Ramon Arias today and thinking, this guy's taking professional at bats. Because when I watch Ramon Arias, he doesn't get pool happy. He doesn't try to drive the ball out of the ballpark. What he does is he tries to go with the pitch. And that's why you see him get so many hits to right field. When he had that 3-run double with the bases loaded the other day, I watched him swing at that. In my mind, I was like, he's going to drive this ball into the right center field gap to win this ball game. And that's exactly what he did. He lined it over Santander's head in Toronto. I knew that he was going to do that because that's what Ramon Arias does. He stays within himself. He finds a way to hit the ball to right field. It's what I've been seeing with Mountcastle since the second half of last year, where he's just trying to put the ball in play. And there are times when Mountcastle feels like he's in a situation where he needs to drive the ball out of the ballpark and he'll overswing. But he had 3 hits today, and did he hit any of them particularly hard? Even on that triple, it looked like a fly ball that just kept carrying and kept carrying and kept carrying. But his 2 hits, neither one of them were laced. They were just balls where he got it off the end of the bat and managed to hit it where they weren't in the outfield. It feels like the rest of this team, and Westberg is doing a good job of it too. But it feels like the rest of the team.
It's funny that you say that. It's funny that you say that because I'm looking at the pitch percentage. So the amount of times that these players have seen the ball up and away, Heston, 70%. Mullins, 65. Jordan, 60. And they're the 3 best hitters on the team right now on a ball in the outer half away from them. Heston's hitting 430, Cedric 400, and Jordan 333.
Because the approach is to go with the pitch.
Yep.
Just hit
and
it. And
guess who's number 4? Ramon Urias. Guess who's number 5? Jackson Holiday. We see the approach out of those 5 guys. And you want to take a wild guess here? Who's the bottom?
Who's at the? I'm going to say Adley.
Tyler O'Neill he's 1 for 8. He's hitting 125 with 11 whiffs on an outer half fastball. Gary Sanchez 0 for 6 with 7 whiffs. Dylan Carlson 0 for 4 with 4 whiffs. Gunnar Henderson 0 for 5 with 4 whiffs. Mateo 0 for 5 with 7 whiffs. Ramon Laureano 0 for 4 with 5 whiffs. So you're literally beating our lineup with up and away fastballs, and they can't adjust right now.
Because everybody's trying to kickstart this offense. It feels like.
And what do you think Arizona's going to do? Guys who actually locate the ball with a little bit of velocity, they're going to throw you up and away fastballs, and this offense is going to struggle again until they fix that right there.
Absolutely. And you can see it. You can see it in the approach, because the guys that we just named, none of those guys, and look, Westberg can hit 30 home runs. Kjerstad can hit 30 home runs, but you ever really see those guys swing for the fences? Kjerstad will every now and again, but when Westberg hits home runs, you don't ever see Westberg hit a home run that off the bat looks like a no-doubter. You just see him
very rarely pulls it too. It's either center field or right field.
You watch him make contact, and you watch him make solid contact. You're like, oh, that ball's probably going, but it's never like a oh my God, he just hit that ball 500 feet down the left field line. No, it's
Right.
left center to right center every single time. He just
Yep.
makes good contact. None of these, and it's the same thing that we're seeing from Jackson. You and I were talking about what we're going to see from Jackson to let us know that he's going well is him going to the opposite field and staying up the middle. And what's he been doing on 7 of his 10 hits this year? Left center to center.
Yep.
The guys just have great professional approaches, and the rest of the lineup is completely capable of that. But you have these guys who feel like they need to be team leaders. You have Tyler O'Neill, and who got signed, and he was like the Orioles' biggest signing since Elias has been here. You have Gunnar Henderson, who's the face of the franchise. You have Adley Rutschman, who is probably the heart and soul of the franchise. And these guys are expecting themselves to be the guys to do this for the Orioles and get things turned around. And they're not staying within themselves, and the moment's getting too big for them right now.
Yep.
You just have professional at bats, stay within yourself, keep your hands inside the ball, and just I almost dropped an F-bomb there. Just effing play baseball. Just effing play baseball and get out of your head. This is coming from somebody who spent my entire life playing baseball inside my own head. So it's funny that we can see that, and you know that they know this. It's one thing to know it. It's another thing to do it, especially when you're pressing like it looks like a lot of these guys are now.
I gotta show you this because it's funny that you even say it. Let's see if you'd be able to. Can you see this? Can you bring that up?
Yeah, show on stream. What you got for us? Jackson Holiday.
Holiday is not seeing the ball inside. That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
They're afraid to throw inside to a 21-year-old kid.
Yeah.
But it comes back to an adjustment. This is where Jackson was being beat last year, and he's made the adjustment, and now look at it. He's beating you at your game, and he's driving the ball to left field, he's driving the ball to center field, and he's hitting around or over 300.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you I can pull that up to almost every other player, and I actually pulled up Kerstad, and his almost looks the same, and they're hitting it the other way. And they're excelling because of it. I bet you if I pulled up Tyler O'Neill here, let's look at O'Neill. They're trying to challenge him up in the zone, and he's missing.
Mm-hmm. Well, Tyler O'Neill's a big strikeout guy. He's gonna, when the season's over, if he stays healthy, he's gonna have over 30 homers. He's gonna be hitting about 250, and he's gonna have 180 plus strikeouts.
Yep.
That's what the season's gonna look like for Tyler O'Neill. The thing is, Jackson Holiday and Heston Kjerstad were number 1 and number 2 overall picks in the draft. They were 1-1, 1-2, 2020, 2022. Yeah. And these guys are expected to be professional hitters. But Jackson Holiday needs 2 days off in the first 10 games of the year when he's facing a lefty.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I mean, come on.
He doesn't. He's a 21-year-old kid who wants to play.
Mm-hmm. And he should be playing every
day.
Single day.
Twice
Yep.
on Sunday.
Well, those graphics brought to you by Baseball Savant and Zach Moore and County Sports Zone. Find every score from every high school sporting event all year long at countysports.zone. Proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and by a Toyota.com. All right. Zach, you've never actually taken part in this, but every week during the season, we do a little thing called Take to Rake. Similar to Pick to Click, but Pick to Click is just who's going to hit a home run.
Yeah.
Take to Rake is who's going to have the best offensive week. So last week, Dylan Atkinson co-hosted the show with me. We let him pick first since he was helping us out. He took Adley Rutschman. I took Jackson Holiday. Since last Sunday, Adley Rutschman went 4 for 19, 2 walks, 2 Ks, 0 extra base hits, 0 RBI. Jackson Holiday, 6 for 15, a double, a triple, 3 RBI, no walks, 1 K. I won Take to Rake. The rules of Take to Rake are pretty simple, Zach. If you win, you pick first the next week, and you can't take the same player that was taken the week before. So, but because you could take Adley if you wanted. We're going to change it up. It used to be if Dylan picked Adley because you're the co-host this week, you can't take Adley. But that's not really fair because that wasn't you. Yeah. So this week, what we're going to do is I won, so I get to pick first. You're going to pick second. If you want to take Adley, you can, unless I take him. But those are really the only rules. Can't take the same player back to back. And if you win, you pick first the next week. Because I took Holiday and I won, I get to pick first this week. Holiday is off the board. And I'm going to take the guy that if he's available and I get to pick him, I'm always taking him. Gunnar Henderson. taking Gunnar this week.
I think that's fair. Gunner's going to be a guy who's going to figure it out faster than he's not. Give me Kjerstad.
This is assuming that he's going to play a lot.
Give me Kjerstad regardless. Within 10 bats, I feel like Kjerstad will still get more than 4 hits.
You just can't justify, to me, not playing these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, Kjerstad, all he's done, except for the little bit after he took 97 off the dome piece last year, where he really struggled until the very end of the year, all he's done is hit.
Yep.
And then Jackson, you and I both called a 2020 season from Jackson. You think he should steal 40. We both called him hitting about 275 this year and being a borderline all-star and being the Orioles leadoff hitter by June. The fact of the matter is Jackson Holliday's 21 years old. He puts the bat on the ball. He knows how to go the opposite way. You just showed the graphic. He should be in the lineup every day. Heston Kjerstad should be in the lineup every single day. That's just the way things should be going right now, and hopefully we're going to see more of that. And I don't want to hear, oh, it's a righty versus it's a lefty facing a lefty, so they can't do it. These guys are 1-1 and 1-2 overall picks in the draft. They should be playing every single day. Every single day. All right, just about time to get out of here. We're going to go over a few of these comments from our loyal viewers, listeners, fans of the show. Daniel Pitts says, there is no way this team is as bad as they've played so far this year, right? Zach, yeah. I'll let you lead off with this.
I mean, are they? No. Why are they is a answer that I don't think any of us know right now. This is a good baseball team. On paper, this is a good baseball team that's just not playing up to their standards through 10 games this year and through the last whatever it was last year, 90 games. They're just not playing like it. And I look, the whole conversation today on Twitter, I've got 57 notifications right now. It's all about firing Brandon Hyde. Is Brandon Hyde the issue? I can't sit here and be completely honest with you and say yes or no. I don't know. Could it be? Maybe. I'm not ruling anything out at this point, but this team is not playing up to their capability.
Absolutely not.
So, yeah, look, this offense is good enough to average 5.5 runs a game, which is outstanding. You know, they're still around 4.5 or something like that, 4.7, which is still respectable, but they're better than that. They're just not playing how they should. But they're a good enough team to do it. I don't know what the spark is, but when they find it, they're going to be all right.
The odd numbered games are scoring 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 runs. The even numbered games are scoring 3 runs, 2 runs,
if
1
we're
run.
lucky.
Yeah. It's just been it hasn't been a very consistent start to the season offensively, but all it takes is a couple of games in a row that you're stacking where you're scoring 5, 6, 7 runs, and then we could be on this show next week singing a completely different tune about this team. They're good enough to have a 5-1 week this week and make us change our tune about them. Right. Eric Showers, if Ryan McKenna and prime Ken Griffey Jr. on a roster led by Brandon Hyde and facing a left-handed pitcher, who does he start?
Ooh, if it's Ryan McKenna's going out there.
If it's a Sunday, it's Ryan McKenna, 100%.
I don't think any day ends in Y. I think we would see Ryan McKenna out there.
What I want to know, because somebody said it felt like James McCann was that role and we lost that. As far as the veteran leadership, the voice of the team and all that. But your backup catcher can only do so much. Zach, what I want to know is how many other teams in baseball are starting their starting catcher as a DH and their backup catcher at catcher in the same lineup in the same game. Like I want to know how many.
Maybe one. Maybe.
Right. It's mind-numbing.
Here and there, Kansas City does it. But that's because Freddie Fermin is a borderline Gold Glove catcher, and you don't want Salvador Perez out of the lineup.
No. Yeah, we're talking about a guy who's hit 48 home runs in the season as a catcher, right? I see. You know that Gary Sanchez is going to DH 60 times this year. You know he's going to do that. And the issue with that, or it's going to happen where Adley's DHing and he's catching 60 times this year. Anytime that Gary Sanchez catches, Adley 90% of the time is going to be the DH that day.
Yeah.
That's how it's going to go. And for me, Gary Sanchez is not that good of a hitter. he'll run into a fastball every now and again, hit the ball out of the ballpark. But you're talking about a guy who's going to hit right around 200 this year. He's going to strike out a ton. And just because his defense is better than James McCann's doesn't mean that he's a good defensive catcher. He led the majors in pass balls like 4 years in a row with the Yankees. For me, Gary Sanchez is just and when they signed him, I was like,
I lost it.
I
lost it.
I couldn't
live.
take it.
I was live and just lost it.
Yeah. Daniel Pitts, I heard players say Kyle Gibson is that type of team leader. Oh, to a man, the guys that were here when Kyle Gibson was here, they love him and they're happy that he's back. He's great for the clubhouse, great for team morale. But here's the thing: from all reports, so is Jorge Mateo.
Right.
Right.
If he was that important, they would have never let him walk out the door. In my opinion.
Exactly. I mean, he had a 4.79 ERA, and they were like, "Look, we got Grayson, we got Bradish. Let's bring in somebody else and let's see what we can do here." But and they replaced Kyle Gibson with Corbin Burns when really we found out they were replacing Kyle Bradish with Corbin Burns when the season started. Daniel Pitts, Tyler O'Neill's defense has been really suspect lately, and when we signed him, they wouldn't stop talking about what a great fielder he was. Look, he's gotten some bad reads. And he's thrown to the wrong base a couple of times, and it's cost him a run or two when he's done that. But from what I've seen, I think he's a solid defensive player. I think he's defense can slump every now and again. I think overall he's been a solid outfielder for the Orioles. But yeah, some of the ball that he dove for and didn't catch the other day, that ball's got to be caught. The pop-up down the line that fell in Game 1 of the Royals series, I don't think anybody on the team catches that ball.
No, he was actually shaded into the gap for a good bit. I mean, he got there, and even on that play, the play that he threw to the wrong bag, I mean, Mountcastle, who's the cutoff man, was standing next to him.
Yeah, exactly.
So, instead of just holding the ball and trying to figure out what to do with it, he threw it to second. So, if anybody but Bobby Witt, or if you were playing anybody but the Royals, I should say, they don't score.
Yeah.
The Royals are just aggressive, and they don't slow down.
How good is Bobby Witt, and how fast is Bobby Witt? Like when he got drafted, I had no idea. I had no idea he was that fast. And I saw him on a ground ball the other day, the one that he beat out that I think Westbrook made a diving play on.
Yeah.
God, he got down that line so fast. He's just so damn fast. As for that pop-up, if you go back and look at it, I think Tyler O'Neill could have caught that ball if Holiday's not there. Maybe. Because the ball kind of landed at O'Neill's feet, but he can't dive. He had to slow up because Holiday's right there. And it's one of those things where it's nobody's fault. Holiday's got to go after that ball till the outfielder calls him off. Because if he doesn't and that ball drops in, you're like, well, why didn't Holiday go after it? He's got the speed to get there. Yeah. So if Holiday's not there, O'Neill probably catches that baseball, but it's one of those things where they were both doing what they're supposed to do. And it was just like, I could dive and bash my face off of his knee, take us both out for an extended period, or, just let it drop in and try and save some runs.
Yeah. The last thing you want is Jackson Holliday to get hit by Tyler O'Neill like a freight train.
Oh my God. You want to talk about how muscle weighs more than fat? Good Lord, man. Imagine getting run down by Tyler O'Neill. That dude is built like a brick shit.
It's like getting hit by Mike Allstott in the hole.
Oh my God, absolutely. I don't want to do that. Daniel Pitts, agree with you, Paul and Hyde. It's becoming unbearable with him as our manager. He's just not very good. I'm going to tell you, I had a serious issue. You know what? It wasn't as serious as a lot of people who deal with mental health issues. But the reason I had to take a hiatus after the season ended last year from this show, and that we only did a few shows until we hit the winter meetings, is because of the fact that, one, social media is a cesspool, and two, the Orioles. I take the Orioles so seriously, and it's like my biggest passion, that when stuff like this happens, like I can't handle it. You know what I mean? Like right. it actually impacts me to the point where it's like watching that game today. I was like, I can't believe I have to do a show today. There's not one part of me that wants to do a show today. Now we get here, we're talking about things, and I love the show that we've done. We have more viewers than we've ever had. 978 live viewers right now. It is absolutely insane.
Damn,
978 live viewers right now. But I'll tell you, watching how I feel about Brandon Hyde. I'm literally sitting there today, and I'm like, I don't know that I can make it through this season feeling the way that I felt last year, the second half. Like it's something's got to change, because it has become a chore to watch this team when they're playing like they are right now. And like, I don't want to feel that way about this team. And then I don't, it's a disservice to do this show feeling like it's a chore to follow this team right now. Like, I just feel like something's got to change. Foul Ball Talk. You're familiar with them. Matt Trigger was from that show, has helped to host this show in the past. How do you expect players to get comfortable in a position when you make them play a different one every day? And this is what you said earlier today. So I'll let you take the reins on this one.
Yeah, I mean, Tim and I talk about this all the time. I mean, how's Mullen supposed to get comfortable if he doesn't know who's playing left field? He's had Liriano, Kjerstad, Kauser, Tyler O'Neill, and I think that's and Carlson once. All just played just left field. Mm-hmm. Right field, we've had Kauser, Kjerstad, O'Neill, O'Hearn, Liriano. I mean, how is he supposed to get comfortable? How is he supposed to learn where these guys' ranges are and how far he needs to go, or how far can he shade? And you can't learn that in a 9-inning game. Mm-hmm. You can learn that maybe in like 30 innings, after a couple balls get hit in the gap. But the chances are, you may have played with him once before, but maybe a ball didn't go in the gap. You don't know. They're not really, don't take this the wrong way. You're not really hustling in spring training. Mm-hmm. There's a reason for that. You don't want to get hurt, but Gunnar just coming back. I mean, is Urias and Westberg really used to the range of Jackson Holiday compared to Gunnar Henderson? I feel like Gunnar gets to more balls. Are they cutting him off, or are they slowing up? Did they slow up for Holiday because they were used to somebody else? Like, what's Ryan Mountcastle doing with 73 different second basemen already? Like, he doesn't know how far he needs to go, and the communication between the defense is, hey, we're sliding this way. The whole thing is just not working out right now. Just figure it out.
You've got to get to the point where, look, communication is key. You see all these guys pull out these laminated cards out of their back pocket in the outfield so they can look at where they need to be on a particular hitter. But the point is, and it's the same thing for the infield, you've got to get to a point where you don't need to communicate because you just know instinctively where you're supposed to be.
Yep.
Gunnar Henderson and Jordan Westberg have played next to each other long enough in the minors and in the majors that you're not going to see too many gaps between them where they don't know where they're supposed to be because they're so used to playing next to each other.
And I'm sure they have a little like code talk, like, hey, I'm moving 2 steps over, follow me kind of thing. Like, do you have that with somebody else? No, you don't. And if you don't think about it, or fans are screaming, you don't communicate. Okay, now there's that gap. It's little things.
And when you're in a major league ballpark that's in Kansas City, they show out for their sports teams, right?
Yeah.
The fans are there. That ball that drops in the other night, Cedric's shading towards right center field. You think that he's really yelling at the top of his lungs for Kjerstad to get over it? Even if he does, you think Kjerstad can hear him?
No.
Because Kjerstad, and then he's looking for Mullins on that play because he feels like the center fielder is probably going to be there. Well, no, the center fielder is shaded towards right center field. That's your ball. You've got to just know where the center fielder is. And that
comes with experience.
Exactly. It only comes with experience, which is why he should be playing about every day. And he should be playing in the same outfield position. He should be playing in right field. He's going to play right field or he's going to DH for you. He shouldn't be in left field because especially if that's where you play Tyler O'Neill all spring. Right. It doesn't make any sense. There's no consistency with the defensive arrangements. And then the manager wants to get on each postgame show and bitch about how bad they've been defensively. It's your effing fault.
Yeah.
It's your freaking fault, dude. Bitch, go stand in front of a mirror instead of a TV camera and look at yourself in the eyes and say, we got to get better defensively, and it's my effing fault. Take some accountability, man.
Somebody should say it to him.
Yeah, well, nobody's going to do that. And maybe, because, I mean, I don't know, because maybe he's a yes man. It comes to where did I see it? Adit. Is it that Mike wants to play the younger guys and Hyde wants to play the older guys on games like today? I firmly believe that Brandon Hyde has final say on the lineup. I do believe that they all put their heads together to go over the lineup and give their opinions on it. I think Brandon Hyde has final say. And you're not going to convince me that the lineup that got posted today was the brainchild of Sig Mejdal, Eve Rosenbaum, and Mike Elias. You're not going to.
I said the same thing myself. Even a computer wouldn't spit that lineup out.
Absolutely not. It's Brandon Hyde. The guy's never met a reverse split that he likes in his life.
Yeah,
or that he believes in his entire life. It's why Kyle Stowers couldn't get off the bench. You know, he hasn't met a reverse split that he likes in his entire life. I don't want to keep you too much. I literally was about to say I don't want to keep you too much longer. I know you got to get out of here. Any other comments from in here? I'm going to go with this one. Elias knew when he traded for Burns, there was zero chance of re-signing him, and everyone knew it. Elias wasted time and missed other opportunities. And we look at the rotation, how bad they've been to start this season. Why was there no contingency plan? And why? I mean, you watch Snell, Crochet, Fried go off the board. You watched Evaldi through a complete game the other day. You watched him go off the board. Mania, who's on the IL right now. But you watched all these legitimate pitchers that you could have brought in that could have been better than everybody but Eflin that's in your rotation right now. All of them, basically.
I think Snell got hurt today.
Yeah, Snell just hit the IL. He's got shoulder inflammation. How was there no contingency plan? Just like you said, no contingency plan for Felix Bautista. They were so short-sighted in what they were trying to do this offseason that now they're like, these guys are going down and these guys are being ineffective, and there was nobody that you could have brought in to be the ace.
Are they maybe too long-sighted? Because all they keep thinking about is building a long-term winner, and like, are they at a point where maybe they're like, well, I don't want to sign this guy because so-and-so's coming back, or I don't want to sign this guy because so-so and so-and-so and so-and-so might come up at a Bowie or AAA, and then I don't have room. And are they just overthinking it? Maybe.
It feels like it.
Right.
It feels like it, because here's the thing. Are you really a long-term winner if you play above 500 baseball and you make the postseason every year, but you never get to a World Series? You never win a World Series. You're not a long-time winner. You're just the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you are. You can win as many games.
Baltimore Ravens too.
You're the Baltimore Ravens. You're absolutely right. And doesn't that suck?
Yeah.
Doesn't that suck that all the teams that we root for can get to the postseason and they can't do anything with it? Like, we're going on now. This is 42 years since the Orioles last went to a World Series, and we're bringing in
14 or 12, 13 for football. So we're looking at 50 plus years between both sports.
Yeah. And then that's before we talk about the Maryland Terrapins not winning a national championship in basketball since 2002 and in football since 1952. Good Lord, Jesus. Man. We deserve better. We deserve better. You guys deserve better. 1,026 viewers. Thank you to all of our viewers, loyal fans, sponsors. Without the sponsors, we don't have a show. Without the 1,026 people that are live watching us right now, we do not have a show. So thank you so much. Guys, we'll be back next week talking more baseball. It'll be me and somebody else. Probably won't be Zach, but we'll figure that out when we figure it out. Until next week,